Yeah, I just saw a big hoopla on the internet about the government spying on your cell phone, right? Well, the internet really, when it was formed originally, was the government formed the internet, correct? I mean, it was a high-speed way to get information between, military installations and between and NATO partners and all this type of stuff. So I saw something on WeAreChange. I'm suspicious of this organization now, big time. About if you look on your phone, if you have an Android or whatever you have, whatever. So you can look up in the system settings and find where you're being routed to, and you'll see a list of IP addresses, and you can look them up. Who is, and it'll say like Ministry of Defense, UK, or Defense Department USA. But that comes as no surprise. Now, I'm not saying they don't spy on people, but I think this goes on in every country, because actually, if you look at Kaspersky, KGB, FSB, General Kaspersky, whatever the hell he is, the name actually, and the software company and all that. It's been by the top Russian people like Vladimir Putin and everything, that they consider the people on the internet to have too much freedoms. They're saying this as official policy too. But you're not seeing that out of organizations being said out of organizations like WeAreChange. It's the only focus I ever see on that organization is against the West. Now, there's one word in that expression, WeAreChange, that I don't like. It's called change. And the word change means you want to reject the status quo and replace it with something else. Actually, it's not the American system that's the problem. It's not the Constitution. It's not the Bill of Rights. You don't want to change that. You want to bring it back. That's the whole deal. See, change, I always see that buzzword, change, and I get red flags alerted to me in my mind all the time. Because it really is telling you we need to throw everything out and change something. We need to replace something with something else. That's not the problem. Not at all. But everything, that bit of dirt that's being thrown at, maybe it's true, Western leaders or what the government's doing, that's true, actually happens over in Russia many times over. That's a fact. And these clown acts on alternative media, they don't point this out. They only show you one side. And they're actually showing you a side that's tamer than the other side, actually. That's a fact. So I find it as no big news that your cell phone carrier uses some resources of the government. The government maybe could be recording something, I don't know. But big deal. I mean, really, how much could they freaking if they have all this information, it's almost like having too much information. There's a lot of, if they're recording some superfluous garbage information, it's not going to mean nothing. Actually, anybody that was a real spy or a real terrorist or anything like that was not blatantly come out and say they're going to do this and do that. They would use code words. It would be almost impossible for them to figure out what the hell's going on anyway. That's another thing. But, I'm against spying and all that type of stuff. But, what's going on here is that the internet was created by the government, and the cell phone carriers and all your phone carriers are using the internet as part of the information, avenues to get the calls through. So they're going through some of the resources of the government. But he's inferring that means everything you say is, they're spying on you, they're looking at everything you say with a microscope. They ain't got the manpower to do that anyway. That's one thing. And if there's, I don't know exactly, I'm not going to defend the spying aspect, but I will say this, there's a lot more spying of citizens going on in Russia, and you're going to see organizations like WeAreChange not mention that. They're not going to mention anything about Vladimir Putin's policies about too much freedom on the internet, about Kaspersky or anything like that, what he does and some of his underhanded infamous things he does. They're not going to mention that. I find it suspicious that, the people that are in WeAreChange.org got interviews with, the Rothschilds and all these high up, they got into where Ben Bernanke was and they made a big commotion. It's like, how did they get in that stuff? How did they get in there? I don't think it's, something doesn't jive right with the whole thing. And actually, that's where Abby Martin came from when she went over to Russia today. Somebody everybody seems to defend like she does, but she's only there being paid by the Russian state to throw dirt at the West. That's what's going on. And she came from WeAreChange. I mistrust the alternative media big time. Change is a buzzword for like throwing out the true American system. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. I don't trust them at all. So, I got my suspicions. I don't have proof, but I got major suspicions. And maybe they're just throwing this out here as a drama story because it gets a lot of attention, gets a lot of hits. I don't know. But, even if there was, say there was no spying at all, and there was a way to check that there was no spying, the internet was created by the government and the Defense Department. And the cell phone companies and the phone companies are using the internet. So they're using their resources. So I don't want to say be naive and let your walls down, but I just want to say that, these guys are throwing an emotional inference out there about something that they don't even know either. And at the same time, they're totally ignoring what Vladimir Putin does and people like Kaspersky. WeAreChange? Oh, bullshit. We don't need change. We just need to go back to square one. Where the change really needs to be is in Russia. They need to install a Bill of Rights to put limitations on the government over there. Then we have universal law of the globe and of the land everywhere. Law of the land, right? Not of the jungle, as George Bush said. How about the Bill of Rights in Russia? How about it? How's that for change? Something they will never advocate, because I think I know what they're about. It's about throwing dirt on the West. That's all they're about. That's where Abby Martin came from when she ran over to Russia today. Oh, she was persecuted by Rand Paul, none other than Rand Paul. I smell bullshit.